Hey everyone, this is Captain Kyle. I'm here at Zenkaikon with the immensely talented Beau Billingslea. You might know him from Cowboy Bebop, where he's jet black, like the coffee that he prefers, apparently. Yes. And Kane in Last Hope. And of course his roles in Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Continues and the 1988 Blob and Halloween H20, and I can go on and on and on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Glad to hear it. Now, you've done both live action and voice work. As far as the voice acting audition process, how has that changed for you, or do they just call you up and say, we want you?
Well, I do get offers, but I do audition as well. And a lot of the auditioning, or actually most of the auditioning now, is from home. And that's convenient. And so I enjoy that. On camera, I audition from home as well, but that's a little more complicated, having to film yourself. But I enjoy auditioning at home for voiceover.
Now, has it changed, like when you have to come up with a voice for the audition, has it changed the process as far as, do they give you less information about characters? Do they give you just as much as they used to? What do they give you so that you could come up with that character voice?
Well, we usually get a rendering. Sometimes we don't, but we usually get a rendering. So there's a sketch, and they give us a bit of background of the character. But sometimes I'd like to have more, because we have to sign non-disclosure agreements so often now that the producers are concerned, I guess, about thievery, which is understandable. So and we use code names so that you don't really know what the project you're working on. Yeah, I enjoy working that way. It's also nice to get directed by someone, because you might not have a complete or accurate concept of what they're after. So sometimes as an actor, you're involved in a guessing game, trying to figure out what do they want, and at the same time trying to be unique in your own style and creating a character that you conjure up in your own mind to fit what they want. But you do have to fit into the project. So, like with On Camera, if you're working with Jim Carrey, your delivery would be different than if you're working with Clint Eastwood. I think that's kind of a, or, yeah, no.
Think about it, punk.
Yeah, right.
Or, think about it, punk.
Yeah, exactly right.
So when you create a new character voice, and sometimes you have to do long monologues, you have to, you're in there for an hour. How do you manage to maintain that voice when, especially, or does someone say, hey, you're kind of drifting into something else?
No, I get that direction here and there, that there are a lot of characters. We don't necessarily think in terms of voices, we think in terms of characters. Mm-hmm. But sometimes if you're doing a specific character, or maybe that has an accent, and sometimes you might slip a little bit. But that's why you have the ears of the director and the producers and the writers, and everybody have their input. They're listening to say, I think we're losing the character a little bit. We're losing the character a little bit, because you have a lot going on. You want the delivery of the emotions and to be appropriate in your sound levels and all of those other things. And so sometimes the accent might slip a little bit. So they'll just remind you. But we have to help. It would be nice to be perfect, but who is?
I don't know anyone who is. So is there a particular character that you've played that you could see as a very good role model for people?
A role model for people? You mean in voiceover?
Voiceover or live action?
Interesting. And now you're causing me to run my resume in my mind as the characters that I've portrayed over time.
Could take a while.
Yeah, it's a good take a while. Good take a while. But I can tell you an interesting character. I don't know if he's not necessarily a role model, but an interesting character that I portrayed in a miniseries in the '80s called North and South. It was North and South Book 2. I portrayed an enslaved person. And that was a real challenge. It was an exciting role to book because we started off in Charleston, South Carolina, where I was born. And so it was very meaningful for me and for my family to work in Charleston. That was the first time my mom and dad ever came on the set. But I meditated and did everything I could to inhabit the soul of an enslaved person. And that was, as I say, I was full of mixed emotions. I loved having the gig. It was fun, and it was a nice part. But the role was, in a certain way, depressing. And we actually worked in actual slave quarters outside of Charleston. And so that role and that character, I composed him using both of my grandfathers. And one of my grandfathers had been shot, and so he only had the use of 3 fingers. And so that's the way I portrayed the character. Of course, when my mother, it was her father, when my mother saw that, she just broke down. She says, that's my dad, right? But trying to inhabit the soul of an enslaved person was a great challenge, thinking about what thoughts that they have going to bed, what thoughts getting up in the morning, the desperation, the hopelessness of, because there are many people who were born enslaved people, lived and died as enslaved people, a person that never had freedom, and so it was a very emotional experience for me to portray Ezra in North and South Book 2. I worked with Forrest Whitaker and Buddy Swayze. We call him Buddy. It's Patrick Swayze, who's gone now. But that was an extraordinary role that really resonates with me now, because they play that every year, and so some people through social media contact me to say, we just watched North and South Book 2 again, and we're talking about Ezra and that character. As an actor, you try to bring as much authenticity and reality to the character as you can, and you try to, whatever part of you that melds with that character, you try to bring it out. And so, as I say, I meditated. I did everything I could to try to be an enslaved person. It was kind of scary, actually, kind of scary. If you want a unique personal experience, imagine yourself as an enslaved person. The color doesn't matter. Just imagine yourself an enslaved person being at the beck and call of someone else who had the power of life and death over you. So, as artists, the reality is very important to us. That we're not just playing a character or doing a voice. We're trying to dig as deeply as we can into the soul of the character. Even in animation, you try to bring a truth to what you are portraying in how you are helping to bring the storyline forward. So that's kind of trying to open up my art to those who haven't done it. That's what we're after, the authenticity, and the audience will know. The audience will know if you're phoning it in, and you yourself, and you've seen works of art, and you say, oh, well, that's something wrong there, And you never, as an artist, you never want to be the guy who somebody says, well, he didn't do it for me, he didn't get there, because, we all have pride in our work.
Absolutely, and Ezra sounds like an extremely challenging role as well. So the fact that you played it with such genuine and moved people, that is definitely a credit to you. Switching from the past to more the future, now before you were in Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Continues, have you been a Star Trek fan all along?
Oh, yes. When Star Trek first came out, that's when I first saw it. A little bit of it. I was actually in law school at the time, but it was a unique show, and after time passed, I don't know if a lot of people realize that Lucille Ball was responsible for Star Trek actually being done. And as fate would have it, Lucille Ball was in the first show I ever saw on television. I was a radio baby. Okay. When my father brought home a TV, I didn't know what it was. I said, "What's that?" He says, "It's television." I said, "What is it? What does it do?" He says, "Well, you can see moving pictures in it." I said, "What? Really?" And the first show I saw was I Love Lucy. And so I know this is several degrees of separation, but I did have the opportunity to meet Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and to work with William Shatner on a series he did called T.J. Hooker. Mm-hmm. I did 2 episodes of T.J. Hooker, so there was a connection with Star Trek and the Star Trek actors, and with the producers of Star Trek, the original Star Trek. So that when I became a member of the Star Trek family, it was very special for me. And I'll tell you a little secret: when I auditioned for Star Trek Into Darkness, I didn't know what I was auditioning for. It was not at Bad Robot, which is J.J. Abrams' production company. It was at the casting director's office, and they wrote a monologue for me to deliver. And I did it, and I wasn't sure what it was. I remember a ship was used, and I was thinking it was a ship on the ocean. And so my wife says, "No, I think that's a spaceship." I said, "No, I don't think so. I don't think so." And then about 2 weeks later, my manager called me and said that that little thing you auditioned for, because I thought it was something that was going direct to DVD or some small thing. And she said, "That little thing you auditioned for, you booked it." I said, "Okay, what is it?" She says, "It's a movie called Star Trek Into Darkness." And I said, "Would you say that again?" Star Trek Into Darkness. I said, "I'm joining the Star Trek family." She said, Yep, you're joining the Star Trek family." And that was very special. And I really enjoyed working with J.J. Abrams, because he's a director who has a very specific concept of what he wants, and he has the command of the English language to express it to the actor. That's twofold for a director: to have the vision and to be able to explain to the actor what you want.
I would say that that's like a very key point of being a director. If you can't communicate what you want, it's very difficult to direct.
Exactly right, and you won't get as fine a product as you would otherwise.
Switching to the convention scene, because we're here at Zenkaikon, you've attended quite a few conventions, I imagine. Mm-hmm. Is there a fan encounter experience that you've had that really sticks out in your mind?
Oh, yeah. We were at a convention. It was the main cast from Star Trek. Main cast from Cowboy Bebop. We were in Los Angeles, and we had an open mic. And there was a lot of people, about 1,000, 1,500 people there. We were on the stage, and they had open mic, and one of the fans came down. They were taking their turns, asking questions, and one young lady came. She could barely speak, and she expressed the fact that she was at a low point in her life, and she was about to take her own life. And a friend of hers suggested that she watch Cowboy Bebop. And she said that in all of this was, she had the terrible time getting it out. It was hard for her to do. And you can imagine expressing such a personal experience in front of 1,000 people. And but it turned her life around. And so we all looked at each other, and we spontaneously went down and circled her. We gave her a hug. We were rubbing her, and we were weeping. To think that something as apparently trivial as an anime could actually help to save someone's life. And it was so touching because, as I say, it's not easy for people who don't speak for a living to go to a mic and speak in front of a large group of people. But to express such a personal experience, it was, and apparently she had a need to do that. And so it was twofold that we had such respect for her, that she took she took her friend's advice and watched Cowboy Bebop, and that she shared that with us. And that's the best part of the convention experience, is to hear how the fans feel about our work, and how they became aware of our work, and how it has impacted their lives. So I'm very thankful that the convention culture has grown as it has, so that we do have that experience, the chance to experience the interaction with the fans. When they come to my table, I always ask. I ask the questions. When we're at panels, they ask me. When they come to my table, I ask them.
That is awesome, and it's always great to have your work touch somebody in such a deep way. We do have to wrap up, but there's anything you'd like to say to your fans out there?
Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate the fact that you watch and listen to what I do. And whenever I get a chance to chat with you, I hope you'll come out and say hello. And I hope you all stay healthy and happy and have a rewarding life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Beau.
My pleasure.
And thanks everyone for watching. And as always, have fun and follow your fandom.
Thank you for watching this video. I am Invader Zim, and I traffic in doom. And so, if you do not subscribe to this channel, you will have doom that befalls you by me, Invader Zim.